Alright, so the Japanese Pokemon YouTube channel has been keeping us updated recently. We have a new trailer for Dusk Lycanroc, which means more official Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon game footage. And also we have a teaser for the next anime episode featuring Jesse's Mimikyu. This has actually been causing quite a bit of controversy because people think that this is teasing a new Mimikyu form. Now I'm going to tell you guys why that isn't the case in a bit, but I do want to clarify some other information as well. That there is no Dawn Lycanroc. That dream is dead. This is the only new Lycanroc form we're getting in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and it's just a simple translation error that is making people being really irresponsible. Any YouTuber that is covering the possibility of a Dawn Lycanroc, they are so uninformed that they don't even know the Japanese name for the Dusk Lycanroc form. It's actually Twilight, Dusk, and Dawn. Tasogare is kind of like an idea, like the word represents both dawn and dusk, so it kind of represents Twilight. Also, the German translation is for Twilight form as well. So if it is a Twilight form, then what is it going to be called in German or Japanese? They can't really call it a Dawn form if we get a new one. So pretty much it's just a translation issue, and that's having people confused. And then irresponsible PokeTubers kind of promoting, hey guys, there could be a Dawn form because that's what you guys want, right? Instead of actually looking at the real information behind it. And like I've been saying, when you look at all three as a simultaneous release, it all makes sense. It doesn't look like just a recolor of Midday Lycanroc. I think it's just that the game doesn't represent it that well, and when you look at the anime and the other art for it, it's definitely a solid form. So let's go and see what we have coming out of the Pokemon Company right here with this trailer. I think one of the biggest things about this trailer is we get to see the battle animations. Like, we already know everything that we can or care to know about Dusk Lycanroc at this form, but we do get new official art. So there we go, guys. That is going to be pretty solid resolution for new Lycanroc art. And then we get to see that's Accelerock as well as Counter being used, and then we also see like a lot of the mid animations and stuff as well. Another thing to point out is we do get the battle music. So the battle music has a bit more energy to it than what we saw in Pokemon Sun and Moon, and a lot of people have been talking about how good that is, and now we are going to go into some more anime stuff as well. So showing the full evolution breakdown of when Rockruff becomes the Dusk Lycanroc. And I mean, when you look at that, how can you hate on Dusk Lycanroc for being like an uninspired, boring, unoriginal recolor of Midday? It definitely isn't. And then we get to see some Z-move hype coming in with Ash and his Dusk Lycanroc, and then more official art. So this is actually a pretty nice trailer. Kind of helps bring everything together and then give us a little bit more information. But one other thing I want to point out from this is that there's been a couple of people kind of making observations that we get a look at what the battles are going to look like for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. As you can see, the hit point bar definitely looks different. It seems like the speed of the health drops a little faster as well. And then also, just like, it feels like it's more polished. It seems like there's a little bit less time between turns, a little bit less time between animations and stuff. And the way I take it is that it feels just a bit quicker, a bit more polished. So if it plays out like that, it might just lead to a bit more of a cohesive experience as well, which is not a bad thing. Now let's talk about Mimikyu. So let's go and check out this anime trailer as I also quickly turn on some music. And it really just shows some basic stuff that, hey, Mimikyu has a bag over its head because its disguise is torn, and now it has to hide like that because that's how Mimikyu works. Now we're also going to get more about the Z move, so that's going to be in the next episode for the anime, even though it was teased in that Lycanroc trailer. And then it's just comedy. Like, this is obviously like some kind of comedy episode dealing with Mimikyu, because look at that. I mean, that's adorable though. I will give it that. That's adorable. But then the bag rips open, and that's what people are going on about. So the reason why people are thinking that Mimikyu is going to be getting a new form is because of a couple of things. That we have this picture. So the thumbnail for this episode actually shows some pretty crazy stuff. That it gets torn, and then like we see like some kind of spirit looking face kind of trying to leak out of the bag. So people are like, yo, what is that kind of showing a part of Mimikyu's true form, its true identity right there? And also because hours after this information came out about Mimikyu, there was, surprise, surprise, a fake posted on 4chan. However, people are calling it a leak, and they are also thinking that there is some viability to it as a rumor, even though it's just some garbage that's been posted to 4chan. That right now, I can't even count how many fakes have been posted to 4chan that have been covered by other people that they think it's real, and then it ends up being almost immediately debunked. So people are just kind of using this trailer as like, oh guys, remember what happened with Dusk Lycanroc? You know, the same thing could happen with Mimikyu now, because Mimikyu's getting an episode all to itself, and we have this leak on 4chan that pretty much just shows us fan art. It gives us, you know, that spidery looking shadow ball of ghostiness that's a Mimikyu, and they're just calling it a new form. Actually, if you somehow think that this could be real, let me make it easy for you. So they took this art right here, they just kind of put it right there, and then they added something like this, and then they slapped Korean over it, and then they made a leak in about 10 minutes, and then people are going to believe it. Also, if you look at the background, it looks like they just ripped the purple and orange that we see on the Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon website. So if you go and pull up the website, you just get the orange and purple with like the lines coming through. It looks fake. I don't understand how anyone could possibly think that it's real and then clickbait it for massive amount of views like Ruffled Rowlet. And then literally as I was making this video, I had it tweeted to me that Tyranitar is also in on the irresponsibility train as well. Brand new Lycanroc Dusk form is their Dawn. Dawn Lycanroc will come. Even though all you have to do is look at the Japanese name and it's immediately disproven. Also, he's really late. He's like doing the little red circle stuff on the red eyes on the Dusk Lycanroc, but we've known about this for at least a week now, so late on the news right there. And then also clickbaiting with the fake Mimikyu form. Is Mimikyu's new form about to be revealed? If he actually cared about his audience and not only the money, this definitely would not be the title, and this would definitely not be the way that the video is staged. So it just seems like as we go into leak season and news, people just want to get the most out of it through lies. And when you break it down, it doesn't even make sense for Mimikyu to get a new form in that way. So it seems like someone's just kind of riding the Dusk Lycanroc hype, making a fake, and then trying to trick people into that, and then getting other PokeTubers to cover it. So I think the big problem is, like, even if it is fake, don't cover it, because by giving publicity to the fake, that's what you're feeding the troll. You're giving them what they want. They don't care if they get called out for being fake. They just want to have a little fun while people think that it isn't fake. So they're just kind of abusing this hype right here. And also, there was much more to the Lycanroc. There was a specific toy leak that was lining up with the anime and all of the build-up into Ash's Rockruff, that when you look at it, Ash is going to get something special as the anime protagonist, and Midday and Midnight didn't really fit Ash's Rockruff either, so it seemed like it all kind of fell into place to get a really nice build-up for a new Lycanroc form. This is just seeming to be like a spoofy, funny kind of episode that kind of shows like what's going on with Mimikyu. I mean, like, look at that! This is maybe one of the funniest frames I have ever seen in Pokemon. We have Mimikyu with a bag over its head, but still has like the little eyes that it can see out of. So it's still playing, you know, that Halloween ghost kind of feel. And it's trying to like gobble up its broken disguise. And it's nervously doing so. So I don't think that Game Freak is trying to take this episode seriously, or the Pokemon Company is trying to take this episode seriously. And if we want to go even deeper into why this won't work, it's just how Mimikyu is. If its neck is broken or its rag is torn during an attack, it works through the night to patch it. And that is because that Mimikyu is a Pokemon that is very sensitive to sunlight. Kind of makes sense being a ghost Pokemon, and that's the whole idea behind Mimikyu. That it wears this disguise to protect itself from sunlight, and it chooses the design of the disguise based off of what's popular since it's a lonely Pokemon and it wants to be loved. If it just decides to be this hideous creature that suddenly changes its biology to be usable during the daytime, it really, like, even the name wouldn't even match at that point. It's supposed to be Mimikyu. And then it wouldn't really be that at all. It would just be some kind of ghost that people are already fairly familiar with. And also just kind of looking at what we know about Mimikyu. You know, an abandoned disguise from a Mimikyu is not an uncommon thing, and that's shown throughout all of the little details and information that we have about Mimikyu. It lives its life completely covered by its cloth and is always hidden. People believe that anybody who sees its true form from beneath the cloth will be stricken with a mysterious illness, which we have seen in the anime affecting Meowth. So yeah, Meowth and Mimikyu, they don't get along. Meowth is very scared of Mimikyu and then keeps getting put into the afterlife by taking a glimpse at Mimikyu, so it really doesn't work out too well. People in the Alola region are convinced that you must never try to peek beneath its covering. Mimikyu's health fails when it's bathed in the rays of the sun, so it prefers to stick to dark places. It's rumored that the reason it covers itself with cloth is to avoid sunlight. So what happens when the disguise breaks? Well, it's going to try to find something, so it gets a bag and then it needs to repair its cloth through the night. It's keeping itself safe until it's not as dangerous outside in the sunlight, so that way it can repair its disguise and then be the Mimikyu that hopefully people will love one day. and then we just go more into the Mimikyu lore as well. The rise in popularity of Pikachu-styled merchandise around 20 years ago is the reason that Mimikyu makes itself look like Pikachu. In fact, this Pokemon's dreadfully lonely and thought it would be able to make friends with humans if only it looked like Pikachu. And also, like, the disguise ability and all this other stuff like that, I feel like the form would be way too disingenuous to actually what Mimikyu is. And even looking at Jesse's Mimikyu, this has been teased before. They've already shown what happens when you peek under its cloth. Bad things. They've already shown, like, Mimikyu taking a swim outside of its cloth, and that also led to, like, some pretty comical moments. So with this whole breakdown, I feel that they're not just going to spring a new reveal on top of a new reveal. And another really interesting thing about Mimikyu in the anime is that we've only seen its neck broken. Now, we've seen the disguise broken in that way, but we actually haven't seen it torn as described in the Pokedex. So when you read the Pokedex entries for Mimikyu, it seems to be, even though a mysterious Pokemon, fairly well understood to the point, like, Pokemon researchers, they understand why Mimikyu does what it does, and a rough idea of what is under the cloak. So for it to suddenly get a new form, that doesn't make as much sense as the rare event of a green flash during an evolution with a midday and midnight Lycanroc available at the same exact moment when there's an evolution going on for a Rockruff. It seems that this is going to be a lot more justifiable as a new form than Mimikyu, which is a bit more understood. So yeah, we actually see it being torn for the first time here in the anime, and that leads to whatever stuff it does. As for this, I feel like that maybe Mimikyu, since it has the bag over itself, it's actually like repairing the cloth. So then it splits open, we get like a little bit of like ghostly shenanigans coming out, and then Mimikyu is in its disguise and all mad and ready to fight Pikachu or something like that. I don't think this teases out a new form, and even if like we do get kind of a blobbish spiritual Pokemon like the Mimikyu, I don't think it's going to be significant enough to stick around for the anime because it just goes against a lot of what Mimikyu stands for. So I think that's going to be the bulk of the information that we're dealing with right now when it comes to Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Other quick little notes is that we do have more official in-game images, so this is just kind of like clarifying some misinformation. People were wondering like, yo, what's going on right here? Is that a new Pokemon? What's that new Pokemon? Well, if you zoom in, you get to see that the Korokoro leak, it's just a Magmortar, which brings up the question if we're going to be able to like encounter wild Magmortar and stuff. And we can also see that that is going to be the Alolan Raticate. So people were like wondering if there was like a pixel out of place leading to something new for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It really doesn't mean that at all, and then we get to see with the other screenshots that that's going to be the Alolan Raticate, and then we also have the Magmortar. So yeah, even though it's kind of hard to see, you can still make out the details of Pokemon, and it doesn't really seem to be anything new. I wonder if that means like a new encounter system, if we're able to like encounter wild Magmortar like that. I don't know, we don't see the SOS stuff around. We did see a Salamence in one of the early trailers for Pokemon Sun and Moon, so I don't really know what the significance of this one is. Either way, we're getting Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon information. I feel like it's going to be about another month, you know, beginning of September, we might get some information, then they're going to play that up into Gold and Silver Virtual Console as we go into Pokken Tournament, maybe a last little bit of information before November when the game releases, and then we should have a solid idea as to what's going on with Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So if you guys enjoyed the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.